How's it going, everyone? In this video, I want to go over a brand new game announcement that came during TGS, and that is Rise of Awakener, a game that has piqued my interest quite a bit. Now, it's coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC, and it's scheduled for a release in 2023, so I mean, whenever a game gets a release window that's 2 years out, you always gotta take that with a bit of a grain of salt, but seeing the gameplay in action, it looks like a slick action RPG, so we'll be talking about that. It's coming from Game Rock Games, or Gamera Game. My apologies if I butchered the pronunciation of that, but the game itself looks quite good, and I think it has a lot of potential, so again, we'll be covering that. Final Fantasy 16 producer Naoki Yoshida also gives us a small update on the state of development in the game. We'll go over that, and we have an update on the GTA Remastered Trilogy. That seems like a foregone conclusion that that'll be happening, so more on that at the end of this video. But first of all, Rise Awakener is a brand new open-world action RPG that's coming to the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC. IGN has a bit of a description on the game, and it seems like they have the most, I guess, in-depth description of the game, because we don't know that much, but we do have a gameplay trailer. But they do note, Rise of Awakener is a single-player open-map action RPG set in a fantasy world based upon medieval Europe. In this world, players will ride dragons, command airships, and partake in engaging combat encounters against a collection of fantastical creatures as they take on the role of an adventurer and embark on a path of revenge and redemption, all with the goal of becoming the Awakened One. Now, seeing the gameplay in action looks like a very slick action game. Like, I'm not gonna say the visuals are a complete blow-away, but definitely you see some hack and slashing, you see some magic being used, a flaming sword as well. I mean, it looks pretty good. You know, honestly, like, I don't know why, but from this game, I'm getting, like, a little bit of a vibe of a Deep Down, and if you guys don't know, Deep Down was a game that was announced at the PlayStation 4 reveal, and it never came out. So, like, let's hope it does not see the same fate as Deep Down, but the game looks quite good. You're fighting dragons, you're fighting all these different creatures, and looks like a very good time. Also, have to say, music in the game is exceptional. Really digging that and digging the vibe that the game is going for. And I like the idea of more medieval action RPGs. I think that's a genre we can do more with, and a lot of interesting equipment as well. And looks like quite a bit of variety in the gameplay. You see him entering an inn as well, the main character. But again, given that the game is scheduled for a tentative 2023 release window, PS4, PS5, PC, take it with a grain of salt at this point. Follow it if you do want to, but I would even take that 2023 release window lightly at this point. You guys know how you know, game release windows these days are, but hopefully we do see the game before the end of my lifetime. But again, definitely go check out the trailer for yourself unmuted. I'm sure you guys are seeing it right now, but definitely listen to the music as well. It's quite good. Okay, moving on from that, Final Fantasy 16 producer Naoki Yoshida gives a small update on the state of development of the game. Of course, this is a game that a lot of people wanted to see out of Square Enix during TGS this year. You guys are just gonna have to deal with Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins, and you're gonna like it, man. But yeah, Final Fantasy 16 is kind of the golden goose of Square Enix right now. It's not a Final Fantasy 14, but you know, we're not going to hear more about this game definitively until they have something definitive to show, and I think we're going to get a release date when we get the next big information drop. It was noted by Sakaguchi-san that he feels Final Fantasy 16 is going to be a full-fledged fantasy, and Yoshida also spoke a little bit about the game, noting that the main scenario is complete, side quests are in development and almost complete, character models are also almost finished, and the team just needs to brush up on the quality a bit. Yoshida-san continued to mention that the initial focus was to produce the main scenario with a small team, while the total production period is quite long. The size of the team didn't increase much until plans were finalized. There was a lot of trial and error. Final Fantasy 16 is noted to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. I would imagine that it would come to PC at some point. I would also imagine it would be an Epic Games Store exclusive, since Square Enix knows how to make money. Thanks to Twinfinite for the breakdown of what was said as well. I'll leave a link to their full article in the description box below. You guys can get some more information there. Final Fantasy 16 is like my most anticipated game coming up, probably in 2022. I mean, there's so many games that hopefully are dropping in 22 that I am really looking forward to. Horizon, FF16, God of War are probably like the top three. I know, pretty generic answers there, but I'm sure there's a couple of other games that are completely escaping me right now. But Final Fantasy is going to be a franchise that I'm always super into, and I like that Square Enix seems to be back on track with Final Fantasy as a franchise. I mean, I love the FF7 remake. I think they're doing a tremendous job with that. I know some people are upset that the game is segmented, but I mean, if you played the entirety of the FF7 remake and you didn't feel satisfied with the experience and the level of content and the depth to the content, I don't know. I was pretty satisfied with that game, and if we could get to a point where we're alternating releases between mainline Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Final Fantasy XIV expansions, or like MMO if they're gonna move on from FF14, which I doubt, but food for thought. Final Fantasy all of a sudden is now in an incredibly healthy position. I think if you look back to where Final Fantasy was maybe 10 years ago or even 8 years ago, it was a little bit in flux. You know, we were getting a lot of Final Fantasy 13 re-releases, which I loved. Final Fantasy 13, the original, 13-2, Lightning Returns, and you know, we were getting FF14 in its atrocity that it was initially, but now you look at it, FF14 killing it, FF16 shaping up really nicely, and FF7 Remake was awesome. Final Fantasy is at an incredibly healthy position after, you know, the decade-long development of Final Fantasy 15, the re-releases of Final Fantasy 13, the botched release of Final Fantasy 14. Now you look at Final Fantasy incredibly healthy where we're at, and hopefully they can continue to persist in that track record. Lastly, I do want to note, the GTA Remastered Trilogy is reportedly planned for a release in November. According to Kotaku, plans around these remastered GTA games had shifted and changed quite a bit over the last year. Originally, the plan was to release them in October or early November. Kotaku has now suggested that Rockstar's plans have shifted again, and the developer is planning to release the trilogy sometime in November. We're in early October, so we better get the ball rolling on that here soon. Obviously, that would include GTA 3, GTA Vice City, and GTA San Andreas. Those games are available on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 as PS2 on PS4 games, but a official trilogy would be pretty cool to see, and I would imagine it would be released on a plethora of other platforms as well. Who knows if they put it on Nintendo Switch? That'd be pretty cool to see, and I'd also love to see, you know, can we get GTA Chinatown Wars? I loved Chinatown Wars. I would love to see that game be accessible in some form. But that's going to do it for me. Again, Rise of Awakener is a brand new medieval open world action RPG, definitely a game that you want to keep your eyes on. Final Fantasy 16 looks like it is finishing up development. I really do believe we're going to see that game in 2022, guys. I know you guys think I'm on some of that good stuff for even suggesting that given Final Fantasy development history, but I think Yoshida and that team, they know what's up, and they do a good job of keeping things in line, and they know, I want to say they know that they shouldn't keep people waiting too long. And GTA Remastered Trilogy reportedly set for a November release. That's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.